Hi, this is Onna, and this is Check at the Round Table, where we discuss movies, books, music, and stuff. Today, we are discussing the episode 13 spin-off of Plus and Minus. I'm not sure I can call it a spin-off episode, but anyway, I was thinking we listen to it. But in this episode, it opens with Truly Kong and Mr. Lai trying to get Jing into, I think it's like the honeymoon suite at the hotel, because Jing had way too much to drink at the wedding, which it's Jing. I mean, I think, people think that people drink too much because they have deep emotional issues. I think Jing sometimes just drinks because he wants to drink. So there you go. But anyway, Jing has drank too much, so Fu Gong and Mr. Lai gets him to the sofa where he's sitting down and completely hogged out. And Yuki is also pretty intoxicated. And Yuki is saying things that Mr. Lai is like, Yuki, we need to get you home so you don't say things to Fu Gong that we don't need to be saying to Fu Gong, because Mr. Lai asks Fu Gong how he and Jing became a couple. What led to them deciding to be together? And he said, well, it was he changed. And Mr. Lai goes, okay, that's interesting. And at the same time, Fu Gong gets a ding on his phone that the wedding photos have come in. So he's showing the wedding photos to Mr. Lai and Yuki because they're in some of the pictures. And so he's showing them the pictures and they're talking about it. And at the same time, the younger woman who was at the wedding is in one of the pictures with Fu Gong, and Jing gets up and he says, that girl liked you in high school. Did she have a crush on you then, and did she have a crush on you? Because he's just talking nonsense, because he's coming down from way too much alcohol. And so Fu's like, she was a friend. She came to our wedding. It's okay. And Yuki is sitting there and he's going, we all have a past. Mr. Lai's like, Yuki, we don't need to go here right now. We're going to go away and leave you, Mr. Fu, and Mr. Jing have a nice night. And Yuki is kind of just talking and rambling as Mr. Lai is trying to get him out of the hotel living room. And he says, enjoy the gifts that we sent and all that. And Fu was like, okay, happy couple. We'll see them at their wedding. And he then gets Jing set back down. He's like, there's nothing to me and you. You as the girl. He says, we were just friends. Go rest. I'm gonna go take a shower. And he hopes Jing get set down on the couch. He takes off Jing's shoes, makes sure he's comfortable. And then Jing has this dream, and he is back in high school with Fu Gong and Yu and his old teacher. And he cannot figure out why he is there, but he's watching Fu Gong interact with Yu, and Yu and him are just friends. Yu fixes his hair in a weird way. I'm not sure why she thought putting a ponytail in the front of his head was attractive. I mean, maybe it's a big thing in Taiwan. I don't know. Here in the US, we only did that when I was a kid to like infants when I was growing up. So I was like, I really can't imagine where I came from, anyone wearing their hair in a ponytail right in the front of their head, but I don't know. So anyway, she tries that with him, and he was very, very understanding and lets her take pictures. And Jing decides to come out of the classroom when Yu and Fu are talking and follow them down the hall. Secretly, he thinks. I'm reminded of the scene in I Do Beloved House where Shi Li is following Jin Yuzin. It's not very secret at all. It's like Kronk with his own theme music in Kronk's New Group. But anyway, Fu Gong turns around down the stairs and he hands Jing a extra juice that he has. He says, this is your favorite juice. Why are you following me around weird? Well, we then fast forward to, I guess there was a cross-dressing event at the high school in Taiwan, which was one of those worst moments in school, just dressed up like a schoolgirl. don't know. I'm like, okay, why did he feel forced? But anyway, he was voted to be the one that dressed up. But to combat his hatred of this memory, Truly Gong decides to dress up too. And I'm going, I don't mean it weird. I'm sorry, Truly Gong dressed up, but Xing decides to dress up too because this was a very bad memory for Truly Gong. And I'm like, Truly Gong doesn't look great in the outfits, but Xing, he's got like this really big, ugly wig, and he's wearing this emerald green dress with a black sweater, and it's like, yeah, it was interesting. And the dress is low cut, and I'm like, that wouldn't look good on anyone, but it certainly doesn't look good on Xing. So anyway, he's there to support Truly Gong, and Truly Gong's looking at him going, why are you dressing up in this terrible outfit? And Xing says, well, this was your worst memory in high school. And he's going, how can it be a memory? I'm living it right now. But anyway, we have that moment, and Yu is there, and she's like, you two look so funny together. But then we fast forward to the night when Truly Gong turns 18, and they're hiding in the schoolroom because they were not supposed to have a party up on the rooftop at around midnight. But anyway, with alcohol with the high school, yeah, that would have not been very good to be caught with. But anyway, so they're sitting there, and Xing is getting to relive that moment without him being drunk like he was the first time in his dream. And he gives Truly Gong the keychain, and he says, do you have something for me? And Truly Gong hands him the book, and Xing looks at him and goes, this isn't what you had for me. You had something else for me. And he reaches in the backpack and grabs the other pendant, and he says, this is for me, because this plus is me, and this minus is you, and together, if this pendant, the people who hold this pendant will love each other for the rest of their lives. And then this is true in his dream, and then he wakes up, and he's like, Truly Gong. And Truly Gong is there looking at his phone and the nice wedding pictures, and he kind of pats Xing. He says he somehow got him to the bed, so he's laying down on the bed, and he's like, are you okay? Do you have a headache? Is everything all right? And Xing is like, I just need to have you sit here in my arm and hold you, so I know that you're here and you're mine and we're good. And he's like, this is kind of weird that he's coming out of his alcoholic moment, so we're gonna just support him here. So he was just there kind of patting him, and so he's just there going, I'm going to touch his head and his hair and have a happy puppy moment. So anyway, I don't know, I'm going, what's with the petting of the head? It's kind of like when you pet a dog, maybe it's calming, I don't know. But anyway, I know what little kids like, but anyway, we don't know why we need to know this. Okay, moving on. So they're having a little romantic moment there where Fu is kind of calming him down, and Xing, and Xing says, well, it was just a dream. And Fu's like, okay, are you all right? And he says, you got really drunk at our wedding. Here's pictures of you, and I even got sent some pictures of the cross-dressing time at high school. I'm not sure why those pictures got sent to me, but you were pretty drunk. And Chris says, oh, I was just dreaming of our high school days, and he looks at me and goes, you were quite handsome even in that outfit, and I'm so glad you're my husband now, so safe. I know you're mine. I don't have to worry about anyone else taking it. I don't, okay, but anyway, okay, it wasn't really that nice to be in an outfit. It was rather distressing, actually. I'm like, both of them, I'm like, oh man, those are hideous outfits. But anyway, moving on. I'm not sure if they look good in any outfit like that, but I'm most assured they did not look good in those outfits. So they're sitting there, and Xing says, I dreamt of our time in high school and your 18th birthday when I kissed you. And it's like, oh, maybe I can, segue into giving you kiss her for a moment. And he kind of sits there like, oh, maybe, just a little hint here. And Billy Gong looks at him and he looks at his phone and he goes, is it right for you to be thinking about kissing an 18-year-old? And she was like, hey, I'm talking about you and me both back then. And, it was a romantic moment. And I mean, I don't get weird. I really like Billy Gong after he is more sure of himself in the relationship. He's like, why were you thinking of me when I was 18? Is it because I'm not enough for you now at 28? And he kind of pushes Jing back on the bed and romantically kisses him. And they just basically kind of have this like mini wrestle fest. I mean, they're like, they're so funny to watch. But anyway, they have a romantic wrestle moment, and then they just end up kind of passionately kissing. And that is the end of episode 13, the spin-off episode. I have to say, I really like this episode, mainly because it was very funny to see the end of it with Truly Gong like, I'm going to get you and you're going to be gotten. And also it was very hilarious to see Yuki not really being himself and Mr. Lai going, we need to go home before Yuki says way too much about his past life or anyone else's past life or anything that he probably shouldn't be talking about because he had way too much to drink tonight. And so that was pretty funny too. I also really like the scene with Truly Gong and Xing, with Xing dreaming that he's back there in his 28-year-old cognizance with 18-year-old, not because, I mean, no, I'm not doing a weird 18-year-old, 28-year-old thing here at all, like Truly Gong was saying, was I'm not enough for 28. But my point is he had all the information of the past that he's able to look at in his dream and respond to Truly Gong, who waited literally 10 years to tell him how he felt, to give him that teaching. And I think, that was an interesting moment because it kind of was like, what about the what ifs? What if you take that plane? What if you cross that street? What if you say that thing that you think you should say, but are maybe freaked out to say because goodness knows what could happen if you do. And the honest to goodness truth is, maybe it's worth that 5 seconds of courage, as they say in the Bible. Sometimes, no, not worth it. Totally not worth it. But there are other times when it's like, I don't think we sit around at the end of our life and go, oh, those things that I did, I so regret, so much as maybe those things that I maybe should have done if I would have had the courage to do. That might be something that would be regrettable. And I think, that part of this episode was really cool to see. And I do have to say, I mean, Jing and Truly Gong are a really great couple. I mean, I know they've known each other for years. I mean, since they were kids. And I think in many ways, that's why they're so good together as a couple, is because they really get one another. And I think, Truly Gong's character, he's kind of like, in many ways, I was like, why do I really like Truly Gong's character? I mean, not that I don't like Shing, don't get me wrong, he has some very good qualities, mainly that he really likes Truly Gong. I'm going, yeah, he's smart. But anyway, why do I like Truly Gong? And I was thinking that this morning, he's kind of, in many ways, his spirit in the show. I mean, his personality, as it were, is like Gao Shi in Fighting Mr. Second and We Best Love. They're both very quiet. They both care the world for the person that they care for, but the other person might not have a clue about it because they didn't say anything. So they're sitting there going, why is this person following me around? Why is this person, this way? And I think in many ways, that's, even though that's one of the downfalls, their quiet sense of care and their quiet considerations for other people are what I find the most interesting about their character. It's like, I really like watching Fighting Mr. Second and We Best Love. And I have to say the main reason I like watching it is because it reminds me of my great-grandfather and my great-grandmother, even though, of course, they were my grandmother and my grandfather, and this is about, two guys that fall for each other. But my point is, when I watch Fighting Mr. Second or We Best Love, it's like watching the characteristics of my grandmother in Zhao Shui, no offense at all, and the characteristics of my grandfather in Gao Shi, which, yes, in many ways, they're so totally different. How on earth do they get along? But I think that those characteristics, I mean, my grandmother, yes, she was quite a lot like Xiaoshui in positive and negatives, but she would have gone down a dragon's throat for my grandfather. And in the same way, my grandfather, who was much more quiet, much more, not talking about things, he would have, gone down a dragon's throat for her, as they say in Tolkien's Lord of the Rings about Sam and Gamgee. I mean, yeah, Sam would have gone down a dragon's throat. But anyway, and not that you want to have the one you care about go down a dragon's throat for you at all. But I'm saying that kind of relationship I find interesting because it reminds me of my grandparents and me sitting back on their couch in the middle of the US when I was 3 years old and just sitting there going, what a nice couple. And it's calm and it's peaceful. And yes, my grandmother might be having a little moment, but grandfather will calm everything down and it will be all right. And I think that relationship, that quiet care, is something that's not really seen a lot in movies. I mean, I can really only think of We Best Love and this show as being really ones about. Now, I will say, like in Bad Buddy, Pran quietly cares for Pat, but not in the same process, not in the same way. Not like he's, Pat and Pran were frenemies for years before they cared about one another. So, I mean, yes, they had each other's back, but it had to be more quiet than in Mr. Second or plus and minus. I don't know where that fell in my head right now, but anyway. So I would say, that quiet care of Fuli Gong is what I think is interesting. I really hope they do make a sequel to this series. I think that would be very, very cool. Also, I think it would be very interesting if singer-actor, the people who put together this production, and also I Do Be Loved in House, made a third production that showed, both the characters from I Do Be Loved in House and also the characters from Plus and Minus. And I'm talking about both Fuli Gong and Jing and Mr. Lai and Yuki, but kind of showed how their lives are playing out. Like in this series, we found out that Jin Yuzin and Shi Li were planning to have a family eventually. I think it would be so cute to see one of those little kids in the carriers with that little fox hat. That would be such a nice touch. I mean, the Infantino carrier with the little fox hat being carried around by Shi Li or Jin Yuzin because that's their kid. And having the kid have, itching problems because he's allergic to nickel, and the other kid be, ornery as heck because, well, they're Shi Li and Jin Yuzin's kids. So anyway, I think that would be so funny. But anyway, and then having Fuli Gong and Xing having their family. I mean, not that they don't already have a family, because they got both dads and sister and everything, yada yada. And then seeing how Mr. Lai and Yuki and Lei Lei are doing, I just think it would be really good to see. Plus, we maybe get a new soundtrack by Amy, which would be superlative because her music's really cool. And you can listen to that on YouTube. I've been trying to figure out another way to listen to that, but if you guys hear that, do let me know. But that is my review of Plus and Minus episode 13. I highly recommend this entire series. I will say, like I Do Be Loved in House, it does move very, very slow. It is a Taiwanese drama. They tend to move slow, at least the ones from Singer Actor. But I think it's worth the slowness. I think the pace is calm and it's good to build up to the exciting end of the story, or maybe the beginning, as we should say. But anyway, I would give the series an absolute 10 out of 10. I will say there are a couple scenes that I would skip with the kids, just because I don't want to have to discuss certain things until they're over. I mean, but I would do that with any kind of show. So I mean, I'm as my family says, there's watching a movie and there's watching a movie with Onna. Well, you know, what happens. So, but that is my review of episode 13 of Plus and Minus. You can watch this at Gaga Ooh La La or on Vicky Rukatan. Both have great subtitles. Check it at the round table. Bye.